Hi there. Welcome to episode number 2 of Doc's Watchbox. Today I pulled out what has come to be my favorite daily driver when at the office or for casual settings. It's the Glycine Combat Sub GL0261 in the 42mm case. It really scratches my itch for the modern yet vintage looking piece. Things like the Tudor Black Bay 41 or 58 Heritage models. If we're being honest with each other, those are simply still out of my financial reach. I'm still on the fence about homage watches as a whole, although I do have some in my collection, in my box. I personally just feel like I don't really like the ones that straight up ape or mimic or copy the exact models. The ones that I have, they're slight variations or, are kind of pointed towards certain design cues and things, but aren't just straight up copies. If you like those, that's great. I mean, don't take my my dislike as in any way insulting what other people like. I mean, what you like is what you like. That's the most important thing about this watch hobby we have, is wear what you like and don't worry about people's opinions and snobbery and things like that, because you will run into them. I'm reminded of back when I used to work at a hospital in an ER. One of the nicest little functional watches that I wore at that time that really went with the color blue scrubs was I had this Invicta, I believe it was a 8628 or something along those lines, but it was the Pro Diver, which basically was the two-tone Rolex type Submariner looking watch. It was blue and gold, and it looked really cool, but I used to hate because people about 5 meters away or so would be like, "Oh my gosh, is that a Rolex?" And then I'd have to sit there and decide whether I'd want to go into homage watch explanation or, "No, sir, this isn't a fake," and blah, blah, blah. I couldn't stand that. But that's why I don't really wear those anymore. I'm kind of, more so I enjoy the ones that, if they are going to straight up copy a particular model, I like the ones that copy models that are no longer in production. Things like the Rolex, the Mill Sub, or the Rolex Sea Dweller Double Red. Things from Steinhardt. Some of their models tend to copy models that are no longer in production. And I personally dig those. Because I don't like to sit there and go into, well, it's not really a Rolex. So anyway, enough of that. The dimensions on this one, basically beating behind the heart that's beating behind the dial here is a caliber GL224 Swiss automatic. It's basically a branded Sellita SW200. Those are the real Swiss workhorse movements. As you can tell, it's got a nice smooth sweep with that second hand, and I really dig it. I mean, that's just the kind of the hallmark of a Swiss movement, is that beautiful high beat sweep. Yes, there are Japanese and Chinese clones and things that can achieve the same thing, but when it's a Swiss movement back there, just adds a little something more, and I really, really dig it. I love the styling of this one. It has some Rolex Explorer cues. As you can see on the dial, there's the batons, but essentially it's an Explorer style dial, but it also has that manufactured patina with the vintage look and the gilt hand set. And actually what's really interesting to me also is that it may be tough to pick up on this. I don't really have macro per se, but the dial is not just black, but it's actually textured. It's got some little bumps and ridges on there, and it's really, really nice looking. Also, as you can see there, they went with the date at the 4 o'clock position, which has a black background with red Arabic numerals. And I thought that was really kind of cool. It picks up on some of the small red cues. The text underneath the word automatic is in red, and also the triangle at the 12. Speaking of that, on the triangle at the 12, the bezel is actually a 60 click, which I thought made sense. I mean, I don't know why someone would need a 120 click bezel, but if you want that kind of precision, I guess you got it. But to me, 60 clicks is just fine, and it lines up fantastic. I didn't notice any misalignments or anything with this particular, let's see, there we go, right there, perfect, very nice. I didn't notice any type of misalignment or anything with this model, or I've had other Glycines in the past, but these are just great. I love them. The case material, of course, is stainless steel, the front and the back, which is a screw down case back all the way around. It's brushed all the way around with no polished surfaces, so it also kind of lends to that tool diver look. If I can separate and show you the back, there's an interesting logo here for the combat subs, and it's actually, if you can see right here, it's two seals diving down, and there's a trident coming up with the word combat there. And to my knowledge, I don't think it has anything to do with the Navy SEALs. I mean, I was in the Navy, and there's no real relationship between Glycine and the Navy SEALs, but I just thought it was kind of cool. But it's laser engraved, it's very nice, it's a screw down case back. It would normally come with a 22mm bracelet, which is also brushed all the way around, the same finish as the case. I don't have it on here. I kind of like straps and NATOs and things like that as opposed to the bracelets, unless of course you're in a formal setting or something. But anyway, what I have it on here today is a BNR, which in no way has paid me or anything to do them a commercial here. But BNR bands, I picked this up on Amazon at a great price, but it's basically in the French parachute military style. It's elastic and you can sit there and adjust it, and it has just a fantastic fit. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on for you and show you how it looks on my wrist. I have about a 7.5-inch wrist, and the way this buckle works is you kind of pull it back and attach it right here. This hook goes inside of the clasp there. But there it is. 42 on my 7.5-inch wrist. That's kind of where I like it to fit. But one of the hallmarks of the case that a lot of people really, really like is the sub 11mm case thickness. Look at that, it's so thin. I don't even know if my Casios are quite that thin. I have the Duro, the Marlin, which is about that thin, and that's a quartz movement. This thing is a Swiss automatic with 200 meters of water resistance. That's pretty impressive. But I like the feel of this style of strap. I can barely notice it's there. It fits nicely underneath a shirt cuff, and it just I really like it. Another design cue that I like for people maybe with smaller wrists too is see how the lugs curve down. That really assures a nice fit even on a smaller wrist. So this 42mm sits really, really well. But I really, really like it. So a little bit of information, if we keep going as far as the specs are concerned, is the sapphire glass. It's a flat sapphire, and as you can tell, I'm sure with the little lights that I'm using here, it is definitely not anti-reflective. It's pretty reflective if we're being honest. But it's fantastic. It protects. I've smacked it a couple of times, and it's definitely sapphire. The bezel insert is not ceramic. It is aluminum with some paint on it. I've been fortunate enough not to really crack it or give it a good whack, but I'm sure that it would perform how an aluminum bezel would normally perform. And if the smack is hard enough, you'll definitely put a groove in there. But just really adds to the vintage look of it, and I really, really enjoy it. The crown is screw down, and it's got the Glycine logo. It's kind of tough to tell. Let me see if I can get a little closer, but it looks like a W. For you fans of Aliens, it kind of reminds me of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation W. But it's meant to be a crown, or some people have mentioned that they think it might be a parapet from a castle or something. Apparently, Glycine had some problems with the logo, which before used to be an eagle right about there at the 12 o'clock, but the eagle looked too much like Emporio Armani's eagle, so there was some sort of, I don't know if it was an official court order or something, but they essentially got upset, and then Glycine went ahead and changed it. Good idea. Speaking of the Glycine brand and its history, Glycine is a Swiss watchmaker, easy for me to say, founded in 1914 in Biel or Bion, Switzerland, where the manufacturing and headquarters remain today. So back in 1930, Glycine released its first mass-produced automatic watches, and in 1959 it developed vacuum-sealed cases, allowing for more durable and water-resistant timepieces. The Glycine Airman was the first watch capable of tracking two 24-hour time zones, GMT if you will, It has been used extensively in commercial and military aviation. I know that the Air Force pilots during the Vietnam War used them, and also U.S. astronaut Pete Conrad during the Gemini 5 and Gemini 11 missions. He wore a glycine airman. And some, again, when you say the word glycine around people who know watches, you may or may not hear, and it's basically just from the purists, or I hate to go far as call them snobs, but people nowadays recently have had a problem with glycine, because back in 2016, Invicta Watch Group purchased glycine for an undisclosed amount, and I'm sure it wasn't cheap. But they assured that the independence would remain, and that, you know, they wouldn't really mess with glycine as far as the design and things like that. I mean, I've seen a lot of glycines online, eBay, Amazon, and other sites like ashford.com. I'm an American, I live abroad, but I still shop on American sites. Costco, they have them on there from time to time. But the newer glycines don't seem to be like the, you know, enormous hockey puck, crystal doorknob, you know, freakish designs that are just really out there like a lot of Invictas are. And I think that's, as soon as Invicta Group purchased them, I'm sure that's the first thing that that went to people's heads is, oh my God, the Invicta's going to get their, you know, grimy, slimy design cues all over them. Me personally, again, I have no problems with you know, Invicta. If you dig that kind of watch, cool. I know a lot of guys that rock those larger Invictas. It looks nice on them. I just don't dig them, but you know, that's me. In closing, I mean, it's a great introduction into Swiss automatics. I would love to go and purchase a Tudor, but I simply can't afford it right now. But heard a lot of great things about glycine, so I went ahead and took a shot at it, and I really dig it. I love this. I love the look. It just got that modern yet vintage cues to it, and I really, really like it. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please leave a like and a subscribe. Maybe leave a comment. I really appreciate constructive criticism as I'm new to the YouTube game, which I'm sure is evident. But I appreciate you sticking with me today and giving it a look. It's been a little while in between videos. Had a death in the family, unfortunately, that kind of took me off track. But everything's back to normal now. And again, I appreciate you stopping by. And best of everything to you. Happy holidays coming up. All the blessings in the world to you, and may you be in good health, you and yours. And I will see you in the next one. Doc signing off.